Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Mark Henry. I'm a senior engineer with Open-AudIT's North American office located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today we're going to talk about how to create custom dashboards and widgets using Open-AudIT Enterprise. Bit of general housekeeping before we get started. For those of you who are watching this live on GoToWebinar, we will be sending out a follow-up email for everyone who attended. It'll include a link to this video's recording, so feel free to save that link or download the video. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to submit them. We'll have somebody keeping an eye on both the Q&A page, so the questions panel, and also the chat window. So depending on which version of the GoToWebinar client you have, you can submit questions either using the questions panel or the chat window. And when this seminar ends, again, if you're on the live GoToWebinar, please complete the exit survey that you'll be presented with. It's just 3 quick questions. It helps us focus in though on future sessions, pick our topics correctly, and it also helps me improve as a speaker as well because it includes a little bit of open-ended feedback for you to let us know how well I did. All right, so without further ado, let's get started today. So what we're going to focus on this morning is how to design and create custom dashboards that really drive action that people can use for decision making that you might include as part of your big wall in a Knox site, etc. We're going to talk about the steps to creating custom widgets for use in dashboards. And then we're also going to touch on how to limit dashboard content and views to specific users so that only people with the right permissions can see a dashboard in the content. We always try to marry all of our features and functionality back to the IT service management maturity model, which is a kind of a service-oriented chart of service levels that Gartner put together several years ago. So you'll notice that Open-AudIT specifically, and I'm talking really about just the dashboarding part of Open-AudIT, so not the reports and the discovery and all the data you can capture, but really the dashboards that drive information there. Help feed into level 1 for inventory management, helps you predict problems, helps you automate your processes, leads you into more of a mature problem configuration, change asset, and performance management process into level 2. It'll help mature you into level 3, rounding you out more as an IT as a service provider rather than just as a break-fix component or a firefighting group. It'll help you integrate processes throughout your organization. It'll add value as your IT group is more of a strategic business partner, again, rather than just an internal resource that sets up machines and configures routers and fixes email issues. So as you absorb Open-AudIT solutions and as you pick each one up and understand how they work and then organize and configure them really to deliver the most value for you and for your organization, just kind of keep in mind where you're headed to as a group and the types of services that you want to perform. Each of Open-AudIT's many solutions within our network monitoring solution set help build out each of these levels and will really help push you into a level 2, level 3 service organization very, very quickly. So what are we going to be talking about today? We will be focusing in on one of Open-AudIT's, or rather Open-AudIT's commercial solutions. We'll be focusing on Open-AudIT Enterprise specifically. We will touch on briefly on the professional level licensing piece, but when it comes to creating custom dashboards and widgets, you have to be at the enterprise level. So a few references for you. Start off with the Open-AudIT wiki itself, and then several pages within that. So how do dashboards and widgets work? The dashboarding page and the widgets page as well. Of course, Open-AudIT has a fantastic user forum as well. Go to openaudit.org. Make sure you check that out. Become a member there on the forum. Open-AudIT runs a community questions board in addition. Feel free to post any questions you have there. And of course, if you've purchased a professional or enterprise, then you're under Open-AudIT support and maintenance program as well. So make sure you email support@openaudic.com, and one of our engineers will be happy to reach out and answer any questions you have, help you with implementation, or help you debug a widget, build a dashboard, whatever you need help with. And of course, if you haven't purchased Professional or Enterprise yet, you can always reach out to USA@Opmantic.com, and our North American sales organization would be happy to help you out with pricing and quotes, availability, and options. And if you're outside the North American region, we'll be happy to give you an introduction to any of our regional sales organizations in EMEA, in Central or South America, or in Asia Pac. So let's get on to it. How do we create a custom dashboard? So dashboards are actually pretty straightforward. Depending on whether you have the Professional Edition or the Enterprise Edition will really drive how many dashboards you have action to. And when we talk dashboards, we're talking about these 6 panels that you see here with the line graphs and the pie charts. So this one happens to be the software dashboard. In the top right-hand corner, there's a drop-down, which gives you the access to the list of dashboards that you have available to you. If you're in the Professional Edition, you'll only have a drop-down with 3 items in it: the default dashboard, the purchasing dashboard, and the network dashboard. So if you expand and you go into the Enterprise Edition, then you'll have 5. So you'll have the default, purchasing, network, discovery, and devices. And of course, if you're at the enterprise level, you can also create your own custom dashboards as well. And we have one which I have selected on the screen now, which is the what I call the software dashboard. It just simply focuses in on software installations, software additions by day, software keys, and then you can see across the bottom of the screen a breakdown of devices between different types of servers that might be running, devices by OS group, and devices by OS family. Again, this is just something I threw together as an example piece. So you can see a list of all your dashboards by simply going to Manage, Dashboards, List Dashboards. Now, the number of dashboards that you see, the dashboards, whether you're in Professional or Enterprise, are all set up at the organizational level, so at the default organizational level. So as long as you have default org as your organization group on your user account, you'll see all those dashboards. If you're lower within that group, you can still see the dashboard, but you'll see a smaller number of devices. You only see devices at your level or below your level of organization, and that's an important thing to understand as well. Now, when it comes to the dashboards that ship with Open-AudIT, if you're a professional, you really can't do anything with your dashboards. You get 3 of them, that's all you have. You can't edit those 3 dashboards. You can't delete those 3 dashboards. They're just what ships with Professional. Once you have Enterprise, you'll have access to the screen. You'll be able to edit the existing 5 dashboards. Again, Enterprise comes with 5 dashboards, where Professional just comes with 3. You'll be able to edit those existing dashboards. You'll be able to change them. You'll be able to create new dashboards. You'll also be able to create new line or pie charts to go on those dashboards, what we call widgets. You'll notice that the delete buttons for those 5 dashboards, so over on the right-hand side, the delete buttons, and again, I'm in the Enterprise Edition, so I get 5 dashboards, but you'll notice that those delete buttons are all grayed out, meaning that they're disabled. So you cannot delete the 5 dashboards that ship with Enterprise, although you can edit them, which seems strange enough because you could actually edit them and change all of the graphs and charts to something different. But let's take a look at what the default dashboard looks like. I'm just going to click on the Details button. We'll go in. So we had a question pop up. So someone asked if this presentation was available. It is. So if you're watching this live in the GoToWebinar, you can download the handout directly from the GoToWebinar handouts panel. So that'll come out as a PDF for you. If you're watching this either on YouTube, please come over to opmantic.com/learn or look for our blog area. If you're on opmantic.com and you're watching this video, there should be a link available right there with the video for you to be able to download the content, so you can get a copy of this presentation in PDF format. So that being said, what we're looking at now is the default dashboard layout. So you'll notice over on the left-hand column, we define the name of the dashboard. So this is what's going to be displayed in that drop-down list. You have a description of the dashboard. That'll only show up on the List Dashboards pane. You have the sidebar prompt, yes or no. That's the panel that goes down the left-hand side of the dash. So let me, in fact, I'm just going to right-click on the title and hit Open a New tab. That'll give me a brand new dashboard. That way we can kind of toggle back and forth. But this panel, the search panel that goes down the left-hand pane, that is what's controlled by this sidebar. So if you have sidebar no, that panel down that left-hand pane will not display. You'll have the organization that this dashboard is assigned to. And then we keep track of who edited it last and the date and time that it was edited. Down the right-hand column, you'll see that we have a field for the layout of the dashboard. So it is 3 items wide, so 3 columns, and 2 rows tall. So you've got 3 columns and 2 rows. We do have plans in the future to allow users to be able to define their layout, add more fields, be able to scroll through that window if you wanted to. Right now in the current version, which is 2.2.7 as of the time of this recording, you're stuck with just a layout of 3x2. And then the next 6 panels are the definitions of the widgets. And so this simply gives you a drop down with a list of all available widgets. Again, these are just the line or pie charts, and you can pick whichever one you want. You can even define no widget if you want nothing there. So you can absolutely create a dashboard with maybe just 3 charts across the top and nothing along the bottom row, or 3 along the bottom and the top blank, however you might want to do that. Widgets 1, 2, and 3 are in the first row, left to right, 1, 2, and 3. And then 4, 5, and 6 are in the second row, the bottom row, 4, 5, and 6 going from left to right. It's really just that simple. I'll go back to the list dashboards page, and I'm going to create a new dashboard. So I'm going to give it a name, webinar sample. Now, just as kind of a almost a unwritten standards, all of the dashboards that we ship with actually have the word dashboard in the title. So for example, default dashboard, purchasing dashboard, network dashboard, etc. That word dashboard is not pre-pended or post-pended to the name. So if you want to have that appear, you have to add that in. If you don't like the word dashboard, you can edit each of the dashboards and remove that from the name if you wanted to. A quick description. Do I want the sidebar? I'm going to select no, just so we can see what that looks like. Now, what organization do I want to assign this to? I could assign it to a sub-organization, in which case it'll only show devices that are within that organization or below. Also, now I'm signed in as an administrator. My administrator account actually has default org access, so I'm at the top of the pyramid, so to speak. But if I were to log in as someone who had a lower level of access, and this dashboard were assigned perhaps to the North American office, but I logged in as someone with the West Coast office org, I wouldn't even be able to see this dashboard. So I'm going to leave this as default. And then each of these are just simply the first item in the list, Active Directory OUs. So I'm just going to pick a few of these pieces. Let's say that we're going to pick, let's do one that's maybe focused in on types of disks. So let's do disk manufacturers. Let's say end of all right, devices by manufacturer, devices by location. Let's say devices by class, devices by function. And this last one here, we're going to put in here devices by organization. All right, I'm going to hit submit. That'll save that dashboard now. And you'll see that that's now in the list. If we go back to our page, I'll refresh it. And I'm going to drop down that list, and you can see the webinar sample dashboard is now in that list. And I can either view that here, so I'm just going to select that here, or you'll notice also on the list dashboard screen that there's a view here as well. And I can right click on that, hit open a new tab. So when it comes to editing dashboards, to laying them out, what I like to do is actually have a couple tabs open and be able to simply make a change on the dashboards page, save it, come back over here, refresh the page, and view my dashboard and decide what I want to be able to do. So you'll see in the top left, we've got standard disk drives, VMware drives, and some with no data. We have devices by manufacturer, devices by location, devices by organization down here, devices by function. So no functions have been assigned to devices. Devices by class, so class of devices, we have laptops, we have hypervisors, and then lots of devices that have not been assigned a class. In the top right-hand corner, you'll notice that I actually have a new icon has appeared now. It's this little home-looking icon. And what that icon will do is that icon will actually assign this, whatever your current dashboard is, to your home page. So if I select that, it's now assigned this as my home page. If I select another dashboard, so let's say go look at the purchasing dashboard. Now if I click in the top left-hand corner, and you'll notice that the purchasing dashboard has that left-hand side panel. If I just select the Open-AudIT Enterprise logo in the top left-hand corner, it'll reload the kind of the home page, and that happens to have my webinar sample dashboard with no side panel. All right, so let's head back over to PowerPoint. All right, so we talked about how to create the dashboards, how Open-AudIT currently only supports the 3x2 layout. Widgets themselves are defined under Manage Widgets, List Widgets, but we'll get into that more in just a moment. And again, the logged in user must have appropriate organization to see the dashboard, and the dashboard will only load devices from the level of the dashboard below. So if the dashboard is something other than the default level, if it's something lower than that, you're only going to get a subset of devices that meet that organization level or less. So how about widgets? Now widgets are really the driving factor of the dashboard. As you can tell already, the dashboard itself is really just an organization tool to figure out which widgets go in which of those 6 locations, and then who can see the dashboard, and that's it. When it comes to the widget itself, the widget definition is really a SQL statement. So let's go back over here. Each of these pie charts, behind these pie charts, is a SQL statement driving this query itself. So to drive each of these pie charts, it's actually going back to the database. It's executing a SQL query. It's returning information and then populating the pie chart or the line chart. And then once you click on one of these pie chart pieces, it's actually using that same information to create the URL. So for example, when I click on VMware Inc. devices by manufacturer, you'll see in the URL now that it's actually created the URL devices system.manufacturer equals VMware Inc. period. So it's actually created that from the information contained within the definition of that pie chart or that widget component. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what widgets look like. I'm just going to go back over to where we were working on these dashboards originally. I'm going to use the same tab. I'm going to go Manage, Widgets, List Widgets. Now this will give me a list of all the widgets that are installed on this Open-AudIT server. Just like dashboards, We ship with several dozen widgets that drive the existing dashboards on the system. And if you have the Enterprise Edition, you can edit these widgets, you can delete these widgets, and you can even create new ones. Now, I will warn you, it is fully capable for you to delete a widget that is assigned to a dashboard. Please do not do that. If you delete a widget that's assigned to a dashboard, the dashboard will still load, but that position where that widget occupied will now just be a blank spot. And if you edited that dashboard, the dashboard would simply say no widget selected for that position. You can, of course, assign something else to that point. But unlike the 5 dashboards that ship with Open-AudIT that cannot be deleted, you can absolutely delete all of the widgets that ship with Open-AudIT Enterprise. Although, again, I don't recommend it as there's no easy, quick way to rebuild those. All right, so I'm just going to slide down, and we're going to take a look at that one piece, devices by manufacturer. So let's take a look at this. There we go. Here we are. So devices by manufacturer. So now this one's actually fairly straightforward. The name, you have the name. There's no description provided for this one. It's assigned to the default organization. There's no data set title. This is a pie chart. So there's actually 2 different types of widgets possible, a pie chart or a line chart. Once you select one or the other, you cannot change the widget type. So if you create a new widget and you create it as a line chart and you later realize, oh, that should have been a pie, then you should delete the widget and create a new one because you cannot change the widget type after it's been created. You have a primary and a secondary table. So what tables are you pulling information from? What filters do you want to do? Do you want to limit those to anything at all specifically? And then how to create the link that goes with that. Let's take a look at a line chart perhaps. And you can see that the type, there's a column here for type. So you can actually pick one of these, and we're going to pick one that's a little more complex. So I'm going to pick the hardware additions by day. Again, I'm just clicking the blue view icon button. So you'll see we have a name, hardware additions by day. There's a description for this. It's assigned to the default organization. It's got a dataset title called devices. Widget type is a line graph. And then over here, rather than having a series of fields identifying what tables to pull information from, you actually have a SQL statement. And so for those of you who have taken the reporting and querying webinar that I've done, the SQL here is very much like the same SQL statements that are used in Open-AudIT's reports and queries as well. So select date, changelog, timestamp as date, count date, changelog, timestamp as count. So we're going to go through, and there's a lot of SQL here. So it's pulling, it's defining what fields to pull. Then where it starts where, that's the filters. So it's coming down, it's looking for 30 days. It's looking into certain things, the changelog, DB table, BIOS disk, memory module, monitor, motherboard. So it's looking through several different fields, and you can see motherboard is actually misspelled, Bayord. We'll have to get that fixed. And changelog.db action equals create, group by date. And then the link is fairly long here. Again, the link is what creates the URL itself. And this is everything after the initial query. So devices question mark, sub resource equals changelog, and changelog.db table equals in BIOS disk memory monitor. So it's looking at several things. You'll notice that the list here in the link almost completely mimics the filter used in the SQL statement. That's actually very important, because if you're doing a complex filter in the SQL statement, then the link created by clicking on a wedge within the pie chart needs to recreate that filter in the URL, because that filter in the URL is what's going to actually drive back to the database, pull the information, and create the table structure to create the query at the end of the day. So let's come back here. Let's take a look. So let's take a look here at the let's say the networking dashboard. So devices by location. So let's pick LATAM, Latin America. Now here you'll notice devices system.location ID equals 5. So it's actually being defined, and again, that would be in the link location for that devices by location. So if we took a look at devices by location, so devices by location, you'll see here devices system.location underscore ID equals at description. So at description is actually the thing that's being returned by the click in the pie chart. Now again, we ship with dozens of widgets pre-built. The references I provided you at the beginning of the webinar do go into a good bit of detail, but I've found myself anyway, the easiest way to learn how to write a widget is to disassemble an existing one. So coming into manage widgets, list widgets, and then starting with the simpler one, devices by type, devices by OS family, devices by manufacturer. Drilling into those and really trying to understand how they work and why they work the way they do, and then looking at more complex ones like end of warranty, 0 to 2 years. So we could look into that. This one's using a SQL statement again. And what I would do is I would normally take and I would put that into edit mode and then copy that SQL statement, just copy that whole thing. Not delete it, but copy it out and paste it into a text editor so that I can really take it apart piece by piece and understand what each of the parts of the SQL that are doing the actual query, and then also the parts of the SQL that are doing the filtering as well, and how those work and what those drive to. Just an example here, between the two different types of widgets. On the left-hand side is the standard. So if you hit create widget, you'll get the panel on the left. It's slightly different between a line graph and a pie chart. You've got a couple of different fields between the two. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is in the bottom right-hand corner, if you click advanced, you'll get the panel on the right-hand side. So you lose the concept of table, event, where, and days. So you lose those 4 fields. So again, if you select advanced, you get this guy on the right-hand side, and you lose these 4 fields. And those 4 fields are actually replaced with the SQL field. You'll also notice that you get a brand new link field. So the linking is no longer automatic. You have to define what the link is that's done. But again, there are several samples. There's more than a dozen samples to ship with Open-AudIT. And if you're evaluating the Enterprise Edition or you've purchased it, reach out to support@opmantic.com. Our support team would be happy to help you write a new widget, fashion a widget. We do it all the time. We've built dozens of custom widgets for customers over the past year since Open-AudIT version 2.2 was released, which included the concept of editable dashboards and widgets as well. So we're happy to help you out with those and understand what can be done and how to accomplish the types of dashboards you're looking for. So a couple tips and tricks for you before I close out for the day. If you need to get very, very specific results, so for example, maybe you want to be able to do a pie chart that shows aging for certain types of devices like routers. We have several different devices by age, devices by date, examples that ship with us now. So you could take one of those and simply add a filter for device type equals router. To get that, you need to use an advanced SQL option. Make sure that when you, if you do that, if you go to the advanced option, you write your own SQL statement, make sure that the link includes any filters or special parameters used in the SQL. So if you're filtering out your number of devices and maybe you're removing out anything with a serial number that includes the phrase VMware, so you only want physical servers, for example, then the link needs to include those filters as well. And again, from my perspective, one of the things that helps me edit these types of things very, very quickly is to be able to leverage my browser's ability to open multiple windows or tabs and edit widgets in one tab and then refresh a dashboard in the other and be able to see the results of that very, very quickly and be able to go back and forth. It's what really steps you up from being an average user into more of a power user standpoint. All right, excellent, everyone. That actually concludes our presentation for today on creating custom dashboards and widgets using Open-AudIT Enterprise. I'd like to thank you all for your time today and the questions that you've sent in. If you have any questions, again, my name is Mark Henry. My cell phone number is on the last slide here, as is my email address. You can always reach out to us also at either contact@opmantic.com, which goes out to all of our sales team, as well as our back office folks, or to support@opmantic.com, which goes to our engineering folks. Thank you all, and I wish you a pleasant day.